used to see the city like this. A well-organized composition of volumes, spaces, and flows. I had just graduated as an architect. My solid childhood dream since I was 8 years old, and I was very excited to start my first job in a design office. I really enjoyed working on those very big projects. And then just after a few months, I got fired. It was 2009, and it was crisis. Now, projects were frozen or cancelled altogether, so I ended up here, on the street, looking for jobs that weren't there. But then, well, after a period of dramatic self-pity, of course, I realized that the fact that the jobs weren't there didn't mean that the urban challenges had disappeared too. So what if I could proactively adopt those challenges and see if I could build local community and support base around them, building my own job step by step. And that's when I learned to see the city in split screen. And seeing the city in split screen gave me the privilege to witness and understand what was going on both sides. And it excites and worries me at the same time, because there's a lot coming at us, I can tell you. And the way we plan and develop our cities needs a thorough update. Now, our structure visions, master plans, etc., they are too slow and too linear and carried by only a few institutions, which makes them very fragile and unable to cope with the increasingly rapid and fundamental change that our cities are subject to. A good example is the large office district in Amsterdam that I ended up adopting 6 years ago. Now, due to the crisis, the municipality had to cancel their big top-down redevelopment plans for the area without having a real alternative ready. So the area was lying there with more than 200,000 square meters of vacant office space, while at the same time, a lot of people in the city were looking for an apartment. And actually, there was not so much that the municipality could do. Now, if you look at the other side of the split screen, the area did not have the self-organizing power to do anything about it either. And it's important to realize that the area was not unique in that. It could have been any area. And that municipality could have been any municipality. And the people in that area could have been all of us here. Now, who of you is living in the city? Almost all of us. And are you actively engaged in the planning of your city? My experience is that most of us are not engaged. Even if we have a conscious opinion about how we would like to see our everyday environment, well, we most probably don't have a clue of who to address and how to make a change. And I will never forget the conversation that I had with one of the many office employees in this area. And when I asked her about how she would improve her working environment, she told me, "Oh, you shouldn't ask me. I only work here. I don't have any real ideas. I guess it's fine." Well, fine. I mean, it's horrible, obviously, but aren't these places supposed to be like this? What can I do about it? What can I do about it? And mind you, I got many responses like this, not only from individuals, but also from people representing companies, even real estate owners in the area. So it seems we got so accustomed to being detached from the institutions that take the decisions about our cities, that many of us don't even feel entitled to have an opinion at all. And I also encountered something else, something among my fellow professional planners and designers. Because the thing is, if you open up your urban planning process to the local crowd, you don't really know what they will come up with. There's a level of uncertainty inherent to this open-ended process. So what if their ideas are really lousy? Or they come up with something else that you cannot control? Now, I have to admit something here first, because I also haven't been that trustful of other people's ideas myself. I told you I wanted to be an architect since I was 8 years old. And as a young girl, I was always in my room drawing houses. And then when the house was finished, into the finest detail, of course, I started drawing all the people that were living in that house. The relations they had to each other, their hobbies, their favorite food, their favorite television programs. But it didn't stop there. No. That was actually just where the little maniac in me was getting started. So I hopped over to their friend's house and then started to draw their friend's house and make the decisions about their friend's life, their favorite food, their favorite television programs, their hobbies, and their friends, and theirs, and theirs, and theirs, until I had designed the whole city into the finest detail. And it's the simple truth that there's something deeply satisfying in making these big overall ideas where every single detail aligns with your ideals of how things should be. So when I first adopted that area, I had this, I loved the theoretical idea, of a participatory process where we would all work together with everybody to transform that area into a multifunctional, lively neighborhood. But something in me hoped that that would mean that everybody would collectively adopt my fantastic ideas. So it took some time for the area and me to open up to each other, which meant for me to learn how to shut up and for them to feel motivated to share their own ideas. And then those ideas weren't bad at all. Some of them were actually better than what I could have thought of from behind my desk. And that hurt back then, you can imagine. But their ideas were so deeply rooted in their everyday experience. They knew so well what they were talking about. And once they really got the hang of it and their imagination started flowing, they had a lot of ideas, and some of them very surprising, and they seemed to enjoy it. So that's where I learned my most important lesson in life, that we're all maniacs. But if we look at the situation that I just described, I think we can understand that we can't really expect all citizens and other stakeholders to instantly engage and take co-ownership over our urban challenges if we don't change that process and that communication and do not, in one way or another, bring these two realities, the top-down and the bottom-up, together in a structural way so we can join forces. Now, the good thing is that today it is possible to do that on a large scale. And that's where the smart city comes in. Now, the smart city, there you see that the use of ICT and data is integrated in the urban processes to improve the efficiency of our urban services and to better meet the citizens' needs. You can think of light poles that adjust the color and intensity of the light according to how crowded a street is, what the atmosphere is. Most of you may have a parking app that tells you in real time where the available spots are. And in the near future, most probably, we will have self-driving cars. But what if we use the data and the technology available to create a new platform that actually takes the development of our cities and opens it up into a dynamic and interactive process that becomes a very normal part of our everyday life. A platform that informs and connects all of us. Citizens, businesses, organizations, and the government, to become real and active collaboration partners. Now, if you look at the city in split screen, that's a very logical thing to build. So that's what we did. It's called TransformCity, and it is an online interactive platform that's dedicated to your neighborhood. Now, the online map shows items like buildings, parks, stations, as clickable objects that hold basic, but also very in-depth thematic information. There's a timeline, so you can also see what already happened in the past and what the future plans and scenarios are. And obviously, it is completely interactive, so you can easily respond to plans, ask questions, and of course, share your own ideas, just directly on the map. And the underlying crowdfunding infrastructure allows you to build project-based alliances and to share and combine the resources so you can also get real projects done. Now, we are currently testing this in the same district in Amsterdam, and we got quite some interesting ideas already. And the first crowdfunding campaign was already successfully completed thanks to the platform. A lot of people in the area were so fed up with a large, muddy social trail next to the station that they had to take every day, that they launched a project to turn it into a park with a pavilion with all kinds of social activities. Now, the contributions came from local companies, real estate owners, developers, the local hospital, housing corporations, public transport companies, of course, a lot of individuals and the municipality to really make this happen. And it's a fantastic example of the collective power that can be unlocked in an area. And it's not all, because we've also been talking with more than 25 cities worldwide already to implement the platform there and to see how we can further develop it to work with different local contexts. And it's my dream that this open and collaborative process becomes a new reality, and that everybody in cities around the world has direct access to it, that it's completely normal that next to your Twitter and your Facebook app, you have your TransformCity app connecting you directly to what's happening. Why be modest, right? Cities like this, they become so much more resilient and adaptive to change when they're carried by so many different shoulders. And I can only begin to imagine how much more diverse and exciting they will be if they include and reflect all the different ideas from everybody who was involved. So we really have to embrace this new reality that's supported by the smart city technology and learn to discover and to trust the wisdom and the creativity in ourselves, but also in each other, so that you can collectively make and sustain the city that you want to live in. So I hope to have made you aware of the huge potential that is still waiting to be tapped into in you as a citizen, in your city. But of course, the new possibilities of data, technology, the internet, they are not limited to the field of urban planning and development. So I also challenge all of you to have a thorough look in your own professional field where the creativity of your crowd may be. And let the little maniacs shine. Thank you.